Phantom fans, my name is Sam Olmstead, his name is Justin Irwin, and his name is Andrew Goldman. This is the Dump and Chase podcast. In this episode, we look back on a headbanging weekend in Dubuque. And I don't mean headbanging to like rock music, I mean headbanging on a desk while watching these games. The Phantoms have one more game before the Christmas break, and yep, it's the Team USA under 18s. So we'll go around the horn here. Justin, you've been the walking wounded for the past couple of weeks. Are we getting healed up yet?
I'm doing fine. I hope everyone else is. I would call myself 90%.
Okay, and we welcome back Phantoms President Andrew Goldman. It's always a little strange when you come on the show because we see and talk to you all the time anyways, but in this case, we legitimately have not seen you in a while. You've been back home in Maryland, all sorts of birthdays and anniversaries going on. How's the home life going there?
Everybody's great here. It's nice to be home. I actually get to go on a vacation. We leave Sunday, so life is good in that regard as well. But I'm looking forward to getting through this month of December and spending a lot more time in Youngstown from January through April. So very much looking forward to seeing you guys in person.
So what's a birthday cake like in Maryland? Do you put sprinkles on it or just like Old Bay seasoning?
We don't just put Old Bay seasoning on. We put the whole crab right on top.
Right on top.
And then we load it with the Old Bay seasoning because everything is better with crabs involved.
Go out to the Chesapeake, just haul up a trap.
Exactly.
Make sure it's your trap.
You might get shot.
Yeah, I know.
Pick up somebody else's trap, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I know.
Is that like a Sweet 16 present? You get your first crab pot, or you start way younger than that?
You definitely start way younger than that, but I'm not gonna pretend that there's any crab trapping that goes on in my world. But I know all the best crab houses, so that's just as good, although more expensive.
Like Christmas, 5 years old, Christmas morning, you open up like a Fisher Price, my first crab pot.
It's actually a little bit sad. Neither of my 18-year-old eats them a little bit. My 12-year-old could not be less interested. My wife could not be less interested. So I oftentimes have to find friends and my sister, brother, parents to do a proper crab feast.
All right. Well, that's all the Maryland jokes I have. So we'll move on here.
Fair enough.
Yeah, a lot has changed since the last time you were on the show. Last week, we made our debut on Western Reserve Radio. So every Wednesday from 5 to 6, you can hear us on westernreserveradio.com or through the Live 365 app. And for all we know, that's how all of you could be listening to us right now. And if so, I know we can't believe it either. You can also listen on Western Reserve's Facebook and Twitter pages, as well as the Phantoms Facebook page. So a big thanks to whoever in the office gave the okay for that.
I'm sure.
Not you?
I am sure that aside from saying yes, that Kelsey and Devin did all the work in that regard. So they deserve all the props.
Well, I'm just saying, when we got our press passes and we showed them to Brad, his first reaction was, "Oh, they gave you the fake ones." So,
well, I had to tell Brad something so that he wouldn't explode. It made him think it was only a one-time thing.
Oh, he's already threatened to take them away from us, but I've already made like 30 copies, so I'm covered for the season.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You're safe. You're safe with me.
And this is one of those fun moments we get to have where we recap something that hasn't happened yet. We're recording on Monday night, and Tuesday evening, we'll be guests on Mark Means' show, By All Means, on Western Reserve to promote the show. And this episode will be released on Wednesday. So at this moment, the interview has not happened yet, but we have to pretend it did. So I will say it was a lot of fun. Justin, I wish you didn't use the F word as much as you did.
That's the problem with having me on live.
And your rant about lowering the minimum wage was just completely unnecessary.
What is the protocol on your show in terms of language? Is it PG? Is it PG-13? What's the?
We've had a few words slip out every now and then, but more often than not, it's just it's just kind of unnecessary.
We'll say PG-13.
Yeah.
You're not going for spitting chicklets.
No.
No.
They've got that covered. They can have it. But yeah, so after you listen to this on Wednesday, you'll be able to go to Western Reserve Radio's Facebook page and give that a listen. And of course, the official sponsor of this podcast, Advanced Podiatry, they have offices located in Howland, Cortland, Champion, Austintown, and Columbiana. So if you're having trouble with your feet or your ankles, I mean, they're the experts to call. I wonder if they can fix 2 left feet. I mean, enough people told me that I have that, so I stopped dancing in public. And apparently not enough people have told Justin. But seriously, you can go and check them out at advancedpodiatry.com.
I heard they fixed Justin's back too.
No.
They were able to remove his foot from his mouth, so that worked out really well for us.
Yeah, unfortunately, getting my head unstuck from never
moving
mind.
On. All right, so let's start out the show with some news and notes. Right off the bat, we wanted to congratulate Phantoms goaltender Kyle Chauvette for the news of his commitment to Union College. A few former Phantoms have called Union College home. Liam Robertson, Brandon Estes, Voss Calais, Darian Hansen, even though I think he only played like 6 games for us. So, nice little bit of a pipeline there between Youngstown and Union. So I would say that's a pretty smart move by Union.
It was honestly stunning to me that Kyle Chauvette was sitting there uncommitted. And I think Union's getting a goaltender who has proven himself this year to be, capable of making a lot of big saves. I think he'll fit in really well there, and they've gotten themselves not only a good hockey player, but a really good young man. So good fit.
And there's nothing wrong with waiting to commit, especially if you're a goalie, weighing your options.
For sure.
So Andrew, you may want to set this one out. So if you got some emails you need to return or anything like that. The announcement came out last week that the BioSteel All-American game will be coming to Plymouth on January 17th. This game used to be an all-star game of sorts, featuring draft-eligible players, pitting the Eastern Conference and Western Conference squads against each other. A couple years ago, it was changed to one USHL team and the NTDP U18s. So you have a team that gets a practice or 2 versus a team that's been together for 2 years. The last 2 years, the U18s have won by scores of 6-1 and 7-1. And the entire game, the NHL Network sings the praises of the U18s, not so much of the USHL players. Justin, what are your thoughts on this game and format?
Oh, it's just lovely. The U18s, they get plenty of exposure, plenty of money from the NHL, and we cut out half of the USHL to let them have, half of the ice. So, yeah, I'm really in favor of the format.
Is that all everybody's going to say on the matter? Are we good to move on?
I think I understand the frustration. I do, and I think there are those in the USHL who feel that way as well. But I will say, the 25, 23 USHL players that get to participate. I was there with Trevor Kuntar a couple of years ago. It's a first-class event. They treat the kids really, really well. It's always exciting to be playing in a game that's broadcast on the NHL Network. And there's always room to improve and to do things differently. While it would certainly be nice for it to impact more players, those who do get to participate, it's a great opportunity for them for sure.
Okay, so there you go. So after the break, we'll get into the Phantoms 3-game weekend in Dubuque. Okay, so this past weekend, the Phantoms traveled to Dubuque. These were 3 games originally scheduled in Youngstown. Due to scheduling conflicts, the games were moved to Dubuque. But Youngstown was the home team for these games, so they got the last change, which in the grand scheme of things worked out to nothing. All right, so kicking it off right away, the game on Thursday, first period, that was all Dubuque. Connor Kurth, his 14th of the season, Riley Stewart, his 4th. So end of the first period, Dubuque's already up 1-0. So going into the second period, starting off the second period, Adam Ingram picked up his 13th of the season, extending his point streak out. Phantoms get back into it. They're only down 2-1. Stephen Halliday picked up his 16th of the season for Dubuque, pushing the lead back up to 2. There towards the end of the second period, Evan Werner picked up his 2nd of the season, and second period ends, Phantoms down 3-2. About halfway through the third period, Phantoms picked it up. Jaden Grant on the power play, his 10th of the season, tied the game at 3. Steven Sardarian, his 2nd of the season, gave the Phantoms a 4-3 lead. That only lasted about 30 seconds before Dubuque's Ryan Beck picked up his 5th of the season, tying the game at 4. The game went to overtime. No goals in the overtime period. Went to one of the crazier shootouts I've seen in a while. 8 rounds total, both teams scoring in the first round, and then nothing until the 8th round. So Adam Ingram had the only shootout goal for Youngstown. Sardarian, Taylor, Werner, Alexander, Varner, Grant, and Isagai unfortunately did not. Yeah, Phantoms lose that game 5-4 in a shootout. In the game, on the power play, Youngstown 1 for 5. Dubuque was 0 for 1. Shots went in Dubuque's favor, 32-28, and Kyle Chavette stopped 27 of 31 in the loss. Easily, I would say this was probably the Phantoms' best game of the weekend.
Yeah, if you take away the first period, I thought we were excellent. I think second and third period, I don't have it in front of me, but I think we were down 14-3 in shots after the first period, something along those lines. Justin's looking it up for me.
Officially
13-3. So, I think the second and third period were really dominated by Youngstown. It was unfortunate to come all the way back and score that 4th goal and give up. It was a really good individual effort on their 4th goal, but I think one you absolutely need to shut down. You play the body there, and he doesn't get an opportunity for that 4th goal. And it's one that I feel like we should have had 2 points in. But to your point, Sam, no question, it was the best game of the weekend.
Yeah, and it just seems like the past couple of years we haven't had much in the way of success in the shootout. So got to get those 2 points in the overtime period.
Yeah, it's something like 14 shootout opportunities this season. They've scored on 2. All right, so moving on to the game on Friday. Again, a common theme throughout this entire week. Dubuque picking up the first goal in the first period. That was Tristan Lemaire, his 11th of the season. So coming out of the first period, Phantoms are down 1-0. Going into the second, Evan Werner picked up his 3rd goal of the game, and that extended out no goals all season, and then had a nice little 3-game goal scoring streak there. He tied the game up early in the second period. Again, a little less than a minute later, Ryan Beck again for Dubuque picked up his 6th of the season. Dubuque goes up 2-1. And then about a minute after that, real scoring flurry here at the beginning of the second period, Youngstown's Baird Hall picked up his 2nd of the season, tied the game at 2, and that's how the teams went into the third period. Third period kind of all fell apart. Ryan Beck on the power play, his 7th of the season, 2nd of the game. William Hallen, his 2nd of the season, and Stephen Halliday on the power play, his 17th. That put Dubuque up 5-2. Steven Sardarian, which I'm going to bring this goal up in 4 points. He was able to pick one up with a couple minutes left, his 3rd of the season, giving us the final score of Dubuque 5 and Youngstown 3. Youngstown on the power play 0 for 4. Dubuque on the power play 2 for 4. Again, Dubuque outshoots Youngstown 31-25, and Owen Bartoskevich stopped 26 of 31 shots in the loss. So for the season, that drops his record to 1 win, 6 losses, and 1 shootout loss, 4.09 goals against average, and an .857 save percentage. This kind of became a theme for the next game as well. Youngstown kind of hanging in there in the second period. And then by the third period, it's just the wheels just kind of fell off the wagon.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it was a disappointing weekend. I don't think there's any way to say otherwise. I think there was, we had two. We had a significant injury coming into this game. Kyle Betton's not playing. Is a big piece for us to be missing up front, and then to lose Nick Williams and Chase Patilla Thursday night. We've been pretty good defensively, I would say, and they've been big parts of that. But to me, it's a matter of, and I guess I don't want to steal the thunder of the later piece of the show, but we need to figure out a way to do two things. We need to figure out a way to kill penalties. It's just not good enough, and we need to figure out ways to be ready when the puck drops. I think we're good enough to play with anybody. I think we're good enough to beat anybody, but I don't know that that's the case if we start, handing them 2-0 leads game in and game out. It's a big hill to climb in this league. And we need to figure out a way to be better in that regard.
And when you come all the way back and then, Ryan Beck both nights kind of sinks the ship there. I thought the Friday night when he scored the go-ahead goal, that was kind of a demoralizer. And we just didn't come back from that.
For sure.
I wanted to ask real quick, as far as Kyle Bettens, we don't like to get into specifics with medical or anything else like that. That's, people's private information and everything else. As far as a timeline, are we talking a week, a month with him, or just we don't know yet?
What I'm hearing is encouraging. Okay. So now we have one game before the break. Whether it's encouraging enough to have it to make sense, have it make sense for him to play on Saturday, I don't know. But I don't think this is something that's going to be a long-term issue.
Okay.
Especially against the U18s.
Okay, so to round out this weekend, we move on to the Saturday game. And like I said, more of the same. The first period, Dubuque jumps up 2-0. That was Michael Burchill, his 5th of the season, and Nikita Borodienko, we're going to go with his 5th of the season on the power play. End of the first, Dubuque's up 2-0. Late in the second period, Justin Varner picks up his 6th of the season, bringing the Phantoms back within 2-1. That would be it for the Phantoms scoring in this game. In the third period, Dubuque's Gabriel Lundberg picked up his 4th and Connor Kurth his 15th of the season. And there's your final score on Saturday of Dubuque 4, Youngstown 1. Even rougher than the day before. Youngstown power play was 0 for 7. Dubuque was 1 for 2 on the power play. And for the third time, Dubuque gets a sweep in this regard, outshooting Youngstown 27-25. Kyle Chevette stopped 23 of 27 in the loss. His record goes to so far 7-5-1-2 with a 3.1 goals against average and an .898 save percentage. I don't really think there's much we can say about this game that we haven't already said about the previous one. So yeah, a lot of information to go through right there. So after this break, we're going to simplify all of that down in a new segment this week. Well, not new, it's been around for a while, but new for this week, of 4 points. So for listeners new and old, 4 points is where we break down the previous weekend into 4 categories: what we liked, what we didn't like, favorite moment, and weekend MVP. And by virtue of winning a rousing game of Ooga Booga, I will be going first. Kicking it off, as far as what I liked, I would say, and there really was not much to pick from, so I'm almost kind of nitpicking a little bit here. I would say for the Phantoms, the second period adjustments they were able to make this weekend. The first period this weekend, the Phantoms were outscored 5-0. They were able to turn that around in the second period, outscoring Dubuque 5-2 throughout the 3 games. So whatever hole they were kind of dug into in the first period, they were able to dig themselves out by the second period. Now, the third period, they were outscored 6-3. That's, right there where everything kind of fell apart. Yeah, really, just not more I can say about it because I'm really nitpicking here. But that would be it for me. Justin, what do you got?
I'm going to build off of that, I guess. I like the fact that, at the end of the second, we were, either tied or down a goal. It was close. I've mentioned Dubuque is a good team, someone that we normally, match up well against, regardless of standings. They're very experienced. Maybe that played into it a little bit. We just couldn't get that third period push through. It was close. Maybe the next 3 will have that third period push and pull through. All
right, Andrew, what do you got?
Yeah, I think I would focus on some of the young guys. You mentioned it earlier, Evan Werner, who I watched, a number of times last year when he was playing for New Jersey in the NA. It took him a little while to get his, sort of comfort level in Youngstown and in the USHL, but he continued to demonstrate that he is feeling more and more ready to be a difference maker. And I thought he had a really nice weekend offensively beyond the points that he put in. I would say the same thing. Sardarian seems to be more and more comfortable. And I think that's a good sign. And Justin Varner. So I think the focus that I would have would be on young players getting their, feet under them in the USHL and starting to look more and more ready to compete on a nightly basis. And that's good news for the balance of this year. And it's great news for next year for sure. And then, the only other thing I would point to is Adam Ingram has just been the model of consistency, and obviously scored both Thursday and Friday night. And it's something that it's hard to get in this league. Somebody who is capable of being really good offensively on a nightly basis, and he's continued to do that.
And consistency is something we really like here.
No doubt.
We've mentioned this a few times.
We've beaten that word to death. All right. So as far as what we didn't like, for me, the power play this weekend, 1 for 16 overall. The Phantoms had a scenario on Friday and again on Saturday where they are trailing. They are gifted a very generous amount of time of 5-on-3 and really did not do much with it. I'm not one to question Brad on anything. The man knows more, learned more about hockey in one day than I'll know in my entire life. I don't understand just kind of this setting everybody up in an arc and just firing shots left and right, almost kind of hoping one goes in. You didn't see any movement behind the net, around the net, in the crease. Everything was from a distance, and Dubuque had it figured out early. And it wasn't working all weekend.
Yeah, the lack of movement on the power play was something, especially on that 5-on-3. For me, what I didn't like, flip side of that coin, was the penalty kill. We gave up 3-on-7. I think we just really needed to kind of dig in a little bit better on that. We had been doing, I thought, a little bit better lately, maybe. That just kind of went out the window. That was kind of, a big issue over the weekend, and 3 goals could have meant a lot.
All right, so Andrew, what didn't you like?
You guys hit a couple of them, and I'm gonna go with the starts. To me, it's been unfortunately something that has hurt us too often this year, and I certainly can't put my finger on why, but it seems like we need the first 10 minutes to get into a place where we're ready to play, and it puts us in a hole. And it did, we gave up the first certainly goal all 3 nights. Did we have the first 2? No, I guess on Saturday night we got the second one. But you can't dig yourself a hole night in and night out and expect to win your fair share of games. So that was disappointing to me all 3 nights. I'll piggyback on your 5-on-3 power play, conversation. I completely agree with you. We were stagnant. I'm not sure that I really understood the personnel that was out there, quite frankly. We have some guys who have elite skill who were sitting on the bench, and I understand wanting to get a presence in front of the net and be there for rebounds, but there's got to be more puck movement. And there's got to be guys who can make seam passes and things of that nature that's going to open up even more time and space and get the goalie moving, east-west and open up holes that we can put the puck in the net on. So that was disappointing to me. And then Justin, the PK is disappointing. And to me, we're too passive. I mean, that's what I would point to. I think guys bobble pucks and we give them time and space to regather. And I don't care how effectively you play a box. If you give teams 2 minutes of zone time, you're going to give up goals. And I feel like we need to be more aggressive, and we need to do a better job sort of, denying zone entries, and aggressively pursuing pucks when there is not complete possession. So, year two were spot on, and Starks would be the other one I would point to.
So do you just want to replace one of us on the show? Because these are the times I feel really bad about myself. I listen to you talk and I'm like, I could be doing so much better than I am.
Wow.
and
I have.
Oh, I was going to say, and to elaborate on the starts, I mean, when you give up the first goal on the road, when you're playing a 3-3, that's a lot of energy you're wasting.
There's no two ways about it. And it goes right into your third period conversation, right? I mean, at some point you spend so much energy coming back that you're gassed in the third period, especially when you're playing 3-3.
Okay, so moving on to favorite moment. Mine will be Steven Sardarian's goal on Friday. What I'm referring to is the screw you goal. Just that kind of that Evgeny Malkin, the game's almost over. They've almost lost 4 straight. I'm probably a little closer to the net than I should be to take a slap shot, but screw you. Here comes a slap shot and buries it. And you kind of felt the frustration, and you did feel a little bit of release there when the puck went in the net. That was a very Malkin-like goal.
I knew you were going to reference that goal. I knew it. I knew it.
So yeah, I mean, there wasn't a lot of great moments this last weekend. That one, to me, far and above stood out from the rest.
For me, it was the Ingram scoring streak. He, set that record. That's something, we've both been kind of rooting for, the past several weeks. It got broken the next night, but that was kind of one of those, hey, he got it.
All right, Andrew, what do you got?
Yeah, I must say I struggled with this one as well. I had the Ingram scoring streak as my go-to just because it was I don't know, something positive to point to on this weekend. So I'll do a little bit of audible. I think the fact that Mario DiMaggio came up at the 11th hour based on some injuries on Thursday night, didn't have any practices. I don't think he's been in practice all year. So drove in from St. Louis, stepped in, and I thought played, quite well. So I'll go with that as my. It's not a moment, I know, but
he was out on the ice in like the first 10 minutes of the game, which I mean that's unusual kind of for any affiliate, and for a defenseman to get thrown out there in that situation and not look uncomfortable, that says something.
Agreed.
And he didn't get a penalty in his first shift. We have seen that a couple times.
More than a couple.
Okay, so for my weekend MVP, and I'll kind of be piggybacking, Andrew, on what you talked about with Steven a little bit earlier, I'm going with Steven Sardarian. 3-point weekend. He's somebody beginning of the season. You could see the talent was there. It wasn't showing up on the score sheet so much. His first 9 games this season, only 3 points. He's now picked up 7 points in his last 7. So he's up to averaging close to a point a game. I always get accused because I go first. I pick the low hanging fruit. So I avoided Adam on this one. But yeah, just on that slap shot goal alone. And you can see the work he's putting in. I think it was most displayed this weekend. He was one of the more efficient guys on the ice this past weekend. And sad to say on a lot of guys, not so much, but yeah, I think he was one of the more consistent ones on the ice this past weekend. So he's my weekend MVP.
Good choice.
I'm going to go out kind of on a different angle this weekend. Andrew alluded to him a little bit, talking about the youth effort. Justin Varner. He's been given 100%, the last couple of games at least. I've noticed him out there, a lot of energy. He got a pretty nice goal this weekend. Just doing a lot of the little things away from the puck, that I think, just kind of deserves mentioning. Not a lot going on this weekend. So I really like the way he's been playing. I think he needs mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just piggyback on that. I think Justin Varner's, he's probably playing 12 minutes a game. He's, not getting the same kind of minutes that some of the more, seasoned guys are. And you guys can probably tell me where he is, stacks up in points on the team, but I'd certainly be willing to bet it's the top third. So given his age and given the limited minutes, that's a fantastic choice. I'm gonna go back to what I talked about earlier. I think Evan Werner has continued to take great strides, and I think that continued this weekend. He is like a water bug on the ice. I mean, he skates incredibly well. He opens up time and space for teammates. He now sort of has that sort of confidence, that swagger that allows you to put the puck in the net, and it's starting to find the back of the net. And I think, this weekend and maybe the weekend before were big moments for him. And I think we're going to see, continue to see it and more.
Okay, so that was 4 points, and that was the past. Let's look ahead to the future. Coming up, we'll dive into the Phantoms' one game this weekend before their Christmas break. Their opponent, that's right, Team USA, the under-18s. So Merry Christmas, stick that in your stocking. Right after the break. Okay, so this Saturday night, the Phantoms are traveling up to Plymouth for their first meeting of this season with the under-18s. Last season against the U18s, the Phantoms were 1-3-1. So right now, the U18s are, we'll call it a 3-game winning streak. Those games were on October 30th, November 28th, and December 4th. They did win those last 3. 2 of them against Chicago, 1 against Madison. And to throw in a little bit extra in those 3 games, USA only trailed for 13 minutes and 5 seconds total in those 3 games. Another fun part, the USHL does not split up the stats for Team USA. Everything's combined for the U17s and the U18s. If you would look at their record going into this game overall, you would think, wow, this is not a very good team. All the wins fall on the 18s. All the losses are falling on the 17s. So we actually had to go through and split everything up here. Coming into this game, the U18s in their USHL schedule are 5-1-1. The U17s in comparison are 1-10. All that together adds up to 13 points and last in the Eastern Conference. Youngstown on the season, 8 wins, 11 losses, 1 overtime loss, and 3 shootout losses. That is good for 20 points and 6th place in the East. So holding on to that last playoff spot right now. The U18s in their 7 games this season are averaging 5.14 goals per game. They are giving up 3.43 goals per game and currently sit with a plus 12 goal differential. Youngstown on the season, averaging 3.26 goals per game, giving up 3.61 goals per game with a negative 8 goal differential. This is where it gets a little funny. I literally had to go through and look up their power play stats game by game to figure this out. But so far on the season, U18s on the power play, 24%. If they were their own entity, that would be good for 4th in the Eastern Conference. Their penalty kill actually has been atrocious so far. They're coming in at 67.9%, which would be last in the Eastern Conference. If they, again, a separate entity. So Youngstown, right now on the power play, 22.3%. They actually are 4th at place. And the penalty kill at 70.4%. They are actually in 8th, last in the Eastern Conference. So this is one game on Saturday, the 18th. This is the last game before the Christmas break. The Phantoms will be back on the 30th. And then the weekend after that, finally back at the Cavelli Center. These months off are killing me, I got to tell you.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. My wife likes it, but other than that,
With gas prices, man.
It's true. It's true.
But as always, this game will be available on Hockey TV. So yeah, this is kind of almost it's a slight return to normalcy for Team USA. You see the 18s doing as well as they are, and the 17s doing as well as they are, which is not at all. So for me, I know Youngstown has taken a little bit of a hit on the power play. To me, for Youngstown to have any chance in this game, it's going to be special teams. Practice this week, they got to get their act together on the power play because Team USA's penalty kill has not been good by any means so far this season. Youngstown has shown that the power play can be very good. So, I mean, to me, that's the key to the game if Youngstown has any chance to win this one.
Yeah, I guess I would add, and they got to stay out of we have to stay out of the box, right? I mean, we cannot take multiple penalties against these guys. I know you said their percentage is 24% with that talent level. I'm actually shocked it's not higher. They are supremely skilled. I've watched these guys play twice live and a couple more times on hockey TV. They move the puck incredibly well. They're a possession-based hockey team, and they do so incredibly effectively. The saving grace is, because they have five guys involved in the offensive side of the game. If you can create some turnovers, you can create some odd man rushes, and you can capitalize on it. So you have to stay out of the box. I agree with you. We have to be effective on the power play when we're given those opportunities. And I think we have to defend the rush well, create some turnovers, and create some odd man rushes.
I'm not 100% convinced that, these are the top goaltenders. I think we have to challenge them, not just on the power play. And for God's sakes, don't give Nazar too much time and opportunity to do what he does.
Well, I think that kind of goes back to the old, the Chicago model. It doesn't really matter how good the goaltending is when you're putting up 5-6 goals a game. If your goal average is that high, your goaltender only needs to be one goal better than that. So
they play to score, they play to win.
Yeah.
There's no fear in their game whatsoever, and I quite frankly love that. And I hope that we're going to start building to that in Youngstown. Believe in your system, believe in the opportunities that you can create by moving the puck effectively, by possessing the puck far more than the opposition does. And you're right. If you score 5 goals, they're going to be perfectly content to give up 4.
Okay, so we're coming down to the end. So after our final break, we'll wrap this episode up and let you know what's going on with the show in the next few weeks. So as always, we want to thank everyone for tuning in, and thank you to our special guest host, Phantoms team president, Andrew Goldman. Mr. President, always a pleasure.
It is my pleasure to be here, Sam, Justin, enjoying it, and really appreciate the work that you guys do. It's always fun to listen.
So around the office, do you have them, like everybody in the office, refer to you as Mr. President, or?
You said it's PG-13. I can't tell you what that. I can't share what they refer to me as.
Because if you say you don't require it, then somebody in the office lied to us. That's all I'm going to say.
I think it is safe for you to assume that somebody lied to you.
We're not too surprised about that. It's not the first time.
Now, obviously, we're joking. There's some very good people working in the office this year. Again, these COVID seasons and just everything going on, crazy scheduling and everything else. I mean, it's an absolute team effort, trying to get the crowds back, trying to build everything back up to where we were pre-pandemic level. So I think we got a good group in that office. If I can offer a compliment to you guys in return.
Appreciate it. It's a great group. I appreciate them very much. I would have a much harder time going back and forth if they were not doing a good job in my absence. So I appreciate it, and they deserve that vote of confidence.
So since there will be nothing to talk about next week, and that Christmas thing or whatever it's called is happening, Christmas, that's it. We'll be taking the week off, which is the first one since the season started. So we've actually been going at a pretty good clip here for a few months. So, and what better way to celebrate getting your show on the radio by taking a week off? 3 weeks in, I got it. Impeccable timing has always been a strong suit for us. So, but we will be back the week after. Again, we want to thank our sponsor, Advanced Podiatry. Go to advancedpodiatry.com for office locations, office times, office numbers, a breakdown of treatments offered, and you can even request an appointment online. So as always, the Dump and Chase podcast is brought to you by hockeyfan.com, and make sure to check out our syndication partners at ohiohockeydigest.com. You can listen to the show on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can hear our show every Wednesday on Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com or on the Live 365 app. And if you haven't yet, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. All of these links can be found in our Linktree page in the description. And to all of our listeners, we hope you have a Merry Christmas. We hope you had a Happy Hanukkah, or whatever it is you choose to celebrate this time of year. So for Justin Irwin and Andrew Goldman, I'm Sam Olmstead. Thanks for listening along, and we will talk with you again soon. Bye now.
All right. That one's smoother.
Well done, gentlemen.
That one's smoother than usual.
That went smoother. It went smoother than it did with Matt.
I want that added to the. I want that added.
We could throw it in after the credits.
Matt sends me angry text messages when I say that stuff out loud.
Well, that's okay. That's all right.
If it makes you feel better, you're now on this show. You're one up on him.
There we go. That's what I like to hear.
This is your fourth appearance. He's still on 3.
We will have to make even here soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna. That's what I'm gonna. That's a text message I'm gonna get on Wednesday.
So we'll start scheduling.
Just saying, Matt can't revoke your press passes.
No.
He missed that.
Yeah. He could probably throw me out of the box, but I don't go up there enough to risk it. So
there you go. There you go. Well, see, did I tell you that my son is now doing a hockey, junior hockey podcast?
No.
He didn't call it the Dump and Chase podcast, did he?
He did not.
Because there's like there's like 6 of us.
No, it's called Power Play Puck.
Okay.
And they do some NHL stuff, and then they interview a bunch of junior guys.
Cool.
So some shockingly you will know, Merck, Schoner, Austin May, and then some guys that you may not know as well. So, but anyway, if you're bored, you can check it out.